Hello, and welcome to Is This the Norm? Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Pandora, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Also, we are now on YouTube. Yay! Thank you in advance. I'm Rebecca, the eldest sister.
And I'm Heather.
And I'm Laura. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about diet culture. And before I go any further, all of this is for entertainment only. Nothing I say is in any way medical advice. In fact, if you're wanting to go on a weight loss journey, you should definitely talk with your healthcare provider, even if it's over the counter supplements, as you'll find out can be very dangerous as well. Okay, so let's first talk about when diet culture was presented, and that was in the early to mid 19th century by Sylvester Graham, who introduced the moralistic diet. This was a vegetarian diet that was supposed to suppress unwanted desires and increase probability of purity. And then in the late 1890s, they used thyroid extracts from sheep to speed up metabolism. But using these thyroid extracts on people with normal thyroid production causes side effects like arterial fibrillation or heart problems, some bone density loss, muscle wasting, anxiety, tremors, and insomnia. Today, the FDA warns
I think you
against...
mean atrial fibrillation.
Okay, yeah.
It's where the heart like jiggles. Just
that's, I guess I said it wrong. What did I say?
I said arterial.
Oh,
it's atrial.
Sorry.
You can just say AFib too. That's another short way.
Okay, so today the FDA warns against using these medications for weight loss because, of course, there's safer medications. Also, there were diet fads that were more behavioral, like Fletcherism, that was popular in the 1900s, which was introduced by Horace Fletcher, where he recommended chewing every bite up to 100 times before spitting out the remains or swallowing. And then also because I'm sure
that's people weird.
Yeah.
What did you call it? I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you called it.
Fletcherism. And that was named after the guy, Horace Fletcher.
Yeah, of course.
Coined it.
Reminds me of Uncle Jimmy.
I was gonna wonder if you were gonna bring that up.
He would say like,
you guys lived with him. I didn't live with him.
Anyways, again, another podcast that we'd have to start about our family. Yeah, he'd say chew like 30 times, was it? Or 25? I don't remember.
Oh my Lord.
Of course.
Before you swallow.
He was different.
I would,
but I'm sure he learned
I'd have
that
to
from
have
his
a whole
mom.
job.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Would it have been her time to do Fletcherism? No, that she would have been too... That wouldn't have been before her time.
Yeah, but it might have still been known,
Right.
Right? Like, people still talk about it. It was definitely before her time. And then I was always going to bring up the tapeworm diet, but in my research, it appears that the tapeworm diet is more an urban legend. It was rumored during the late Victorian era in the early 1900s, but historians have little proof that tapeworm pills ever really existed or were used. And most historians agree that if there were any tapeworm pills, that they were likely sold as placebo pills, to desperate dieters, but didn't actually contain the tapeworm in it. So it wasn't until the early 20th century when diet culture became popularized with reducing salons that marketed physical body reshaping. Of course, these salons were targeted towards women promising slender bodies without having to exert or sweat from exercise or partake in strict dieting. They used vibrating belts and metal rollers to break up fat mechanically so that the body could dissolve the fat and flush it out. They would
wait, does that work? Does that work, Heather?
No.
Would that work? Do I need to...
Oh, no, I just keep picturing
beat me up. Punch me in the stomach.
Well, so there is also recent...
That's what I'm picturing.
Yeah.
There's also recent, the cool sculpting, which is kind of like the same idea, but now they're using, cold.
Right.
And there's bad side effects that come with it. I watch a YouTuber that had like done that. She's a dietitian, and she has these weird like nodules on her stomach now from doing it too much. And they tell you like, yeah, it's normal to get that. You just keep going and they'll get better. And they never do, obviously, because they're trying to make money. So I think a lot of this is just people trying to make money. And so like,
Blood, sweat, and tears is what it takes.
yeah,
There's no way around it.
because
Even that
they still
doesn't work
sell,
half the time.
True.
they still sell machines like that today that you can get like on Amazon. I even looked it up. But now
Oh,
they say
interesting.
things like assisted weight loss through core strength and joint recovery. They also claim lymphatic drainage, which are big buzzwords for marketing these machines. It's kind of funny how weight loss products and fads get recycled a lot, and it's just the marketing and buzzwords that
Oh,
change,
yeah.
right? So, for instance, just in my lifetime, I remember the Atkins diet being really popular, which in essence is a low carb diet that puts your body in ketosis. And then just a few years ago, the keto diet became popular, which does exactly the same thing. Different, different name, basically
Right.
the same diet, right? So these things just get
Well, it's
recycled,
just like,
people trying to make money.
yeah, it's not dieting. It's, what did they call it? Caloric deficit.
Reduction.
Just rebranding.
Yeah, deficit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Different
Caloric
buzzwords, right?
deficit.
Yeah,
Right,
calorie
right.
deficit.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah, there we
so
go.
let's talk about some pharmaceuticals to begin with. So in 1933, there was DNP or dinitrophenol, which is the big long word, but we're going to call it DNP because I am going to stumble over that as I do most of the words I say. Even simple ones like, what was I saying? AFib. Anyways, this was marketed as the magic bullet and a safe metabolic activator for rapid weight loss. And this was marketed after Stanford University did clinical studies. Companies started to sell it directly to pharmacies, and consumers did not need a prescription for it. It was advertised as a way to melt away fat without having to change your diet or exercise, with results of up to 3 pounds a week. It was backed, quote unquote, backed by scientific research and completely safe to use. It was sold as a convenient pill that was started at a low dose and gradually increased over time. But DNP has a narrow margin of safety and a very long half life, which means it can quickly and easily get to toxic levels and take a long time for your body to break down. There's no antidote for DNP, so that's why it's so dangerous and can easily become fatal. In fact, in 1938, the FDA banned it from shelves, and it's banned from any sporting events as well currently. The drug works by turning metabolic energy into heat rather than storing it, which causes hyperthermia or fever that leads to death. It also causes cataracts for those lucky ones who don't die. And I did look up why, but there's a whole bunch of sciencey words that we don't need to get into.
It just
It
happens.
cataracts. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. So what sparked this idea that DMP could help people lose weight? Well, it was from the factory workers who used it to make explosives. They were experiencing side effects from the DNP dust, such as severe sweating, yeah, fatigue, high body temperatures, and
Okay.
fat loss.
Oh
So,
my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, yeah. What do we focus
So they
So
on?
were
that was the
like,
Fat
side
loss.
you
effect.
too. Yeah. It's got this amazing side effect, guys. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I love working here. I'm
Yeah,
so
don't worry about
skinny.
severe sweating, fatigue, high body temperatures.
I look
They're losing
good.
weight. They're losing weight. Let's shovel this
It's a,
out to
would they
the
call that a
the
perk?
masses. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Benny. It's a Benny.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
just and you
scientists
don't have it's
discovered
free.
this DNP dust increased metabolic rate, which sparked the investigation in 1933, where the Stanford University study was conducted on 9 individuals and closely monitored their oxygen levels and heat production. After the study confirmed weight loss occurred at about 1.5 to 2 pounds a week, they did also warn of the risk of hyperthermia. It appears that the drug was so dangerous because it was not being closely monitored by a physician. And even then, the threshold is far too narrow to risk your life to lose body fat, right? Unfortunately, this is still being used today on the black market, and of course, still very dangerous. They estimate about 15% of black market users die from DMP because it doesn't have a safe therapeutic window and there's no antidote. So
Yeah.
terrible.
Chain reaction type
What we
thing, right?
do.
Once it starts, you can't stop it.
Well, yeah, because the half-life is so long. It
Yeah,
takes forever for
right.
your body to
That's the
metabolize
problem.
it and get it out.
That's
And you die
that's
before that
crazy.
happens.
It builds up.
I mean, it sounds like it has like 1.5 to 2 pounds a week. That's like GLP-1 meds, and those
Mhm.
are a lot safer. So I don't know why
Mhm.
you would do that.
Right,
That's probably
exactly.
they're probably a lot cheaper than that at this point too. So maybe GLP-1 will put the kibosh on that black market stuff.
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
Who knows?
it's safer.
That's so scary.
As far
What
as
we
we
do to
know,
get
it's
skinny.
safer.
Mhm.
What we do to get skinny.
So then we
Like,
move on to 1937, where we discover amphetamines, curb hunger, and become a new weight management alternative. DNP is out, Benzedrine is in. Originally, it was used over the counter as an inhaler for nasal congestion, and people were experiencing side effects like elevated mood and appetite suppression. Like, yeah, win-win, right?
I bet you were.
Yeah. When people started
legal
using it
cocaine almost.
as a weight
Yeah.
loss drug in pill form, they would refer to it as the bennies. In pill form for weight loss, it was prescribed, but as a nasal decongestant, it was over the counter. Initially, it was considered a harmless pep drug until the late 1930s when people started to notice severe side effects, and the term pep pill poisoning was introduced. This term was born from people experiencing dangerous spikes in blood pressure, cardiovascular strain, and fainting. In addition to the pill causing severe side effects, people would buy the inhalers over the counter and mix the drug with coffee or alcohol, which of course created a plethora of problems like extreme cardiovascular stress, psychosis, and exhaustion. It wasn't until the government classified amphetamines as controlled substances in the Act of 1970 that the weight loss pill was pulled from the market. But before then, it was phasing out because the dangers of taking the pill. People started to, phase away from taking the bennies.
When did you say that people started taking this? You said the 30s?
1937.
And so now we're in the 70s. So, like, for
Mhm.
decades, people did use this, though.
Yeah.
Whoa. They were having fun. Not really.
Mhm.
Just kidding. But whoa.
Mhm.
They were getting stuff done.
Yes.
That lady's house was so clean.
And she was thin and trim.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
had it all.
Until she dropped.
Mhm.
Heather,
Yeah.
is that your trick? Is you just do amphetamines all day long? That's how you're able
Yeah.
to get
Oh,
everything
yeah.
done?
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Mine
so
are legal,
skinny.
though. I do
Oh, so that
legal
is
Well,
it, though.
at the
amphetamines.
time, that was legal too. So
Yeah.
True.
don't be judging.
True.
They were just
Yeah.
normal people doing normal
ADD.
things, taking
ADD
legal
is
drug.
Yeah.
you get legal amphetamines pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
true.
what ADD
Right.
medication is, but in a very probably a lot smaller dose. I don't know the dosages back then, but yeah, you have to be careful still. Like there's people that, are taking Adderall and what have you, but they're taking it in
Right.
doses they shouldn't be. So that's the thing. You
Right.
still got to sleep
Black
at some
market
point.
Adderall.
Seriously.
Hmm.
Okay, so then
Again,
in the
be smart.
90s, there was a good old fen-phen, which is what our generation is more familiar with, kind of firsthand knowledge.
Yes.
I remember hearing a lot about it when I was a kid, but by the time I was hearing about it, it was like they were speaking negatively about it. So I'm going to probably butcher these words, but I'm going to do the best I can. This was a combination of phentermine and fenfluramine. Um, Phentermine is not an amphetamine, but it's a close cousin that acts as a stimulant and suppresses appetite. And fenfluramine is a amphetamine derivative that suppresses appetite. So they combine the two. It was pulled from the shelves in 1997 because it was causing severe heart valve risks. It would thicken the heart valves, which would cause blood to
Mm.
leak backwards and would cause
Lord.
shortness of breath, fatigue, weakness, chest pain, and edema, which is swelling. It also caused pulmonary hypertension, which is high blood pressure in the arteries of the lungs, which causes shortness of breath, fainting spells, cyanosis, which is a blue tint to the skin or lips from low oxygen in the blood, and swelling of the abdomen. So, I mean, that's all I really said about fen-phen. I'm sure you guys have some experiences. Remember anything in particular in the 90s when people were taking fen-phen? I mean, they were pretty jazzed up, losing weight.
Yeah,
Not good
I
So
for your
remember
health.
my
my friend's parents did it. My friend's
yeah, my
parents did it,
adopted
and then they had to
mom,
get off of it.
she did it. She did it, but I think it was expensive, so I don't think she did it very much because we were broke.
Mm-hmm.
We were poor. So I think
Mm.
she only did it for a little bit, which is probably good. But she did like every diet a little bit. So it's
Sure.
not surprising.
I mean, that's the society
Yeah,
we live in.
pulmonary
Gotta be
hypertension is
skinny.
super dangerous, by the way.
Yeah.
Pulmonary
Well, I was
hypertension
going
is
to ask
like
you,
in the medical field
is
scary.
this,
Well, yeah, you can't breathe. That's like the
yeah,
number one
Mm-hmm.
in
is,
the ER if you can't breathe.
are any of those reversible or was this like permanent damage to people? Do you know?
Oh, that's a good question.
Heather, do you
Well, the
know if people
valve
like heal
thickening, you
from
can't.
that?
Yeah, the valve thickening, yeah, for
Valve
sure.
thickening,
Oh, and
no, that's
Oh
permanent.
my
No, from what I
gosh.
recall, there was permanent heart damage. And once you get that
yeah.
valve leakage, what's
Whoa.
happening is it's going back to where it came, and that's why you're swelling because things aren't circulating like they should. I mean, it's more complex
Stresses
than
me
that,
out.
but yeah, no. And that's the thing is like FYI with people that are on, ADD medication, let me tell you, it don't suppress my appetite. I wish it did, but it doesn't. I have zero. That's the same. Like doctor asks me every time a couple things with it, and I'm like, no, no, it doesn't. She always asks that. So I think it's because we're in a lot lower doses too. Like depending on the dosage,
Mhm.
of how much you're taking, you're
Right.
going to get appetite suppression. But the one I'm on, I had to try a few before I figured out which ones worked best because not every, the ones that I did have side effects of like sweatiness or jitteries where it wasn't helping me get things done, I guess that it was having, I wouldn't try, I'd get off that one and try a different one. So it takes a few tries to figure out which one works best for you for the issues you're having versus people that are taking it that don't maybe have ADD or taking it for keeping up, studying, college students. They're going to have those problems because they're not taking it because for one they don't need it or they're abusing it.
Mhm. Right.
Anyways, no, that is not why. That does not help me get skinny because I was been on it a long time before I lost weight. It didn't do anything.
Okay, so
So,
let's get into diets that control food consumption. In the 1990s, everything needed to be low fat. If you didn't eat fat,
mm-hmm.
you wouldn't store fat, right? So that's where we saw a big rise in like spray butter and margarine became real popular, and Olestra was approved by the FDA, which is a 0-calorie artificial fat used in chips. Um, and it can cause some digestive upset, like loose stools and cramping. Because of this, Olestra is not used today, even though it's still approved by the FDA. You know, it people kind of push back on it. Nobody really wants an upset stomach. So sorry, I don't know why you find that funny, but it makes me giggle. So honestly, it makes you wonder, since the FDA still does approve of it, how long before it returns back to the market, right?
Oh yeah,
When will the
definitely.
fat-free fad diet resume?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's only a matter of time, right, before people start demonizing fat again. But I remember eating margarine growing up until we moved in with Grandpa John. We lived with him for a short time, and he ate real butter, and man, it tasted so good. Uh, and I eat real butter
Once
today.
you go butter, you don't go back.
Right, I would never eat that garbage
Mm-hmm.
margarine again. It's
I
terrible. It
know.
has no flavor.
Mm-mm.
I'd rather be chunky. Thank you. And I enjoy my butter. Um, and I actually had to look up on my grocery app. out of curiosity to even see if they still sell margarine because I've not
Yeah.
ever bought it as an adult. And they do. I guess some people still eat it, to each their own. So anyhow, this low fat diet trend just, led companies to taking out the fat, but then adding more sugar and salts to
Mhm.
produce products that maintained flavor, right? So you're just basically robbing Peter to pay Paul, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, that was kind of the trend in the 90s. And then also occurring kind of around the same time was Weight Watchers. I actually was surprised to discover that they had been around since 1963. I didn't realize that they had been around for so long. Um, I actually, at one point, did Weight Watchers after I had my first child. It was all online through an app where I would like log my food, and they do like a point system. So you get so many points in a day, depending on your BMI. And then you can eat all the fruits and vegetables you wanted throughout the day at 0 points. So I'd say it's probably the healthiest diet plan I ever tried. Not that it's perfect, but it was one of the best. In the beginning, when Weight Watchers first started, they had support groups where they would share meal plans and create recipes. And Weight Watchers actually like sold a cookbook for a time, um, and it clearly stood the test of time because now they have apps and people still today can use it. So I was on Weight Watchers in 2015, 2016. Um, Before that, I had done my Fitness Pal in college, where it's an app
Mhm.
where you track your calories as well, but you also track your exercise. So if you exercise more, you're allotted more calories for the day, depending on this baseline BMI that you created, some arbitrary amount of calories. Anyway, but Weight Watchers never really accounted for exercise. You just got your points for the day, and then they would have like flex points. So you had like a certain amount of weekly points that you got. So if you kind of splurged a little on the weekend, you were still within the confines of what you agreed upon in the beginning. It was nice for me to do Weight Watchers because I didn't ever feel like I had to be hungry, because I could just, eat an apple or a banana or something. I often would eat
Mhm.
heaps of applesauce for dessert after dinner to just fill my belly. It was kind of hard to find 0 point vegetables other than like eating plain cucumbers or carrots. I'm not a big carrot fan, plain or cooked. And so for me, when I eat vegetables, I really like to have like a salad, which you put dressing or oils on, and that definitely counted as your points. I did find a recipe where you could soak fresh green beans in like this vinegar base, basically like a fresh pickle, and I could eat those at 0 points because vinegar was 0 points. So I kind of had to get creative with vegetables, but I did like the fact that I could continue to eat throughout the day, whereas like my Fitness Pal was clearly based on calorie restriction, and once you ate your certain amount of
Mhm.
calories, you were done for the day, and then I'm just twiddling my thumbs thinking about the next meal, which is awful.
Right. I did the same thing as you, Laura. I did both
Yeah.
Weight Watchers and
What
Fitness
did you like
Pal.
better?
In the Weight Watchers, remember, I would say Fitness Pal because we both of us are so
Oh,
active. Like Weight Watchers just wasn't good for me as far as like activity. Um, so I felt like my Fitness Pal, I actually lost weight better. The first time, like I lost weight
mm,
after Oleana, I lost 20 pounds doing my Fitness Pal. And I did this other shake thing that I had that really helped with nutrient deficits, like when you work out a lot, ride bike, run,
right.
whatever. This, I can't think it was Purium is what it was called. And it had, like, it was good. I really like, I would go back to doing that again because I really liked the shakes. But Fitness Pal worked. But Weight Watchers, remember the yogurt with the pudding um, mix? I
No.
think you text Rebecca and I, and you're like, oh, I used non-fat Greek yogurt, and I put a little
Oh,
bit of like vanilla
Greek
pudding,
yogurt,
Jello
and then I
vanilla
put,
pudding.
yeah, sugar free. Yeah.
I got that from Weight Watchers. That's exactly where I got it, and I still like that. So there's things I've
Yeah, I
taken
guess
from
I
Weight
meant,
Watchers that I really like.
yeah. I mean, I did lose weight with my Fitness Pal, but I don't feel like what I was consuming through my Fitness Pal was balanced or good food. Whereas like
Sure.
Weight
That
Watchers,
makes sense.
I ate a lot of fruits and vegetables and like whole meats, you know, whereas my Fitness Pal, I mean,
Mhm.
you could eat fried chicken. That's not a problem,
Right. True,
you
Whoa.
true.
know, but
Hey,
it's not
let me
necessarily
ask
good
you
for you.
let me ask you both this. So, when my oldest was young, we were like on WIC because I was poor. And that was like the only help I got. I would get WIC, right? And you had to go
Um,
for meetings
I've
like
been on
once in
it
a
too.
while. And you had to go for meetings to like with the nutritionist once in a while. And you'd like, this is what I'm
Mhm.
feeding my kid. And there was like juice on there. And she's like, and mind you, I am like 105 pounds. Okay. And my kid was skinny too. Okay. And she's like, well, just be careful. Like fruit juice just turns to sugar if you drink too much fruit juice or eat too much fruit. And I always was like, that seems dumb to me. I mean,
It
maybe it was
is.
because I was thin at the time and I'm like, that's stupid. It's fruit.
Yeah, I don't think
No, you're good with
that's
fruit.
good advice either, personally. I'm not a
Mm-mm.
dietitian, I'm a
I always thought it was
nutritionist, but if you
stupid.
are overweight, then maybe you could look at like the candy bars and the chips that you're consuming, not the fruit juice or the fruit.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's not
Well, I
What
mean,
demonize
are you telling
healthy
me?
foods that
I
have
could
good
see.
antioxidants in them
Yeah.
and
I c-
micronutrients that your body needs. Let's demonize the
right.
candy bars and the
Right.
chips if we're going
Right.
to
I mean, I
demonize
was
any food.
like, right. I was and they weren't like the same juice. She would like have apple juice and an orange juice later. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
big whoop-de-doo. It's not like I could understand it like if you're drinking like a gallon of orange juice a day. Maybe
And
that's
not
excessive
exercising.
and that's probably not, probably not. That's a lot of sugar. So
Yeah.
it's
Nobody's drinking a
probably
gallon of
same
orange
as
juice.
eating a candy bar, maybe, but probably not either, though. I mean, come on.
Well,
It's
fruit
freaking
juice,
orange
yeah,
juice.
drinking a lot of fruit juice could have the same potentially amount of sugar as a candy bar, but like whole fruits, when they have the fiber in there as well, you know, you're never going to hit
Yeah.
that sugar limit with eating
I
whole
feel
fruit.
like,
But
come
I don't
on.
think
Yeah.
that fruit juice is what's making America fat. I think soda pop and
No.
candy
Right.
bars and chips, which I'm guilty of eating myself. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I'm not telling people not to eat fruit. That's bad advice in my
Yeah.
opinion. Fruit is
Okay.
good for you.
I always think back to that. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe
And then
there's a little
also
bit of truth to it, but not really. Come on.
also it frustrates me when people talk about giving your kids like low fat milk. I don't think it's bad to give your kids low fat milk, but I also don't think it's bad to give your kids whole milk. My kids drink whole milk. They need that fat for their brain so that they can focus in school. In my opinion, we don't eat low fat really any
Mhm.
dairy. Um,
And the vitamin A too.
yeah,
Vitamin A,
so well, there's vitamin A in the low fat ones as well, but
not as much
I
though.
don't think that the fat is in milk is the problem. I think we're targeting the wrong food. I think the fat in French fries and cheeseburgers is probably where we're getting too much
Right.
fat from, not from
Right.
milk. So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, I'll get off my soapbox. I get a little irritated with that sometimes. But let's also talk about, this is a fun one that I really like, is Jenny Craig. She originally started
Mhm.
in Australia. I didn't know this in '83, but
Oh,
became well
yeah.
known in the United States in the early '90s. So, do you guys remember the TV
Yeah.
commercial? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
1-800-93 Jenny. And then when the year would switch over, you have the new Jenny commercial, which is 1-800-94 Jenny.
Before Jenny.
Yeah. Every
Mhm.
year she would change the digits to the next year. So you're always looking for that, right? I remember literally
Marketing
looking for the new
genius.
commercial as a kid. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it
truly.
was.
I mean, I wasn't on any diet, but I was like, yeah, the new Jenny Craig commercial. Stupid. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so then I always was like, what is she gonna do in 2000? Like, what's her number gonna be? Among other things that were gonna fall apart in 2000, right? But
Right.
when 2000 rolled around, she quit changing her digits and kept 1-800 Jenny 20. So, anyways, just a little fun bit of my childhood and TV commercials. But so she kind of started with some support group centers and the toll free numbers. And then, of course, she had to switch over to online services because now that's the trend. The difference between Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers is that Jenny sends you all your food. She gives you breakfast, lunch, and dinner with snacks in between. So no need to grocery shop or overthink things. She's got you handled. She would have different options tailored to, you know, your different
My
needs
gosh,
that
she
you're
was the
interested in.
original Blue Apron slash HelloFresh, whatever. She was
Exactly.
the
That's
original.
exactly what I
Mm-hmm.
thought.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
OG.
So
Forgot about that.
she would have high protein or low carb or intermittent fasting meals. So you would
Mm.
order your meals every two
Ahead of her
weeks. They would be
time.
prepackaged and ready to go.
Yeah, that's what I
The
was thinking,
entrees
Heather.
were microwave meals, and then she'd have like protein shakes and bars, dried cereals, and then she also had like tuna or chicken salad kits with crackers. And she also did some sweet treats like there was biscotti bites, popcorn, cookies, and cakes. But yeah, like no need to think, just eat what she sends you and easy peasy. So yeah,
Doesn't sound
um,
good.
I
I remember
no,
those
no,
meals. They
no,
never looked good when I saw them eat. People eat them. I was like,
Mm,
yeah.
no.
that's why you losing
And
weight. They
then
don't taste
Biscotti.
good.
Blech.
and then I am you also had like the lean cuisine meals. I remember and I did ask mom,
I'm
she said it was
addicted to
okay
this
to
day.
share. She did something that was kind of similar to like it was kind of like a mix of Weight Watchers Jenny Craig. It was like a local um, group that met where we lived. And I think she said she'd meet either weekly or monthly. I think it was monthly. You would weigh in monthly. And if you didn't gain or lose, I remember she called it you turtled. So you just kind of stayed where you were. But they would have goals of walking a certain amount of week. And then I think she had like certain, nutritional goals as well. I remember her buying the lean cuisine. She would eat that on her lunch break. Cause I remember in the summertime I'd be home from school and she'd microwave a lean cuisine and that would be her lunch. Do you remember, Heather, when she was going through this, that she would like ask us to go on walks with her? I remember walking with mom a lot during this time, is when we lived on the hill.
I don't remember.
You were
I don't
older,
even
you were a
remember the
teeny
lean
bopper, so you
cuisine.
didn't want anything to do with us.
He
I
was
was still
already over
young.
hanging out with parents.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was
Yeah,
just
I was
me. Yeah, I was
doing
still pretty young. I was like
doing my things, being
fourth, fifth
selfish.
grade. Yeah, I mean, as you do at that age. But yeah, and then yeah, she would always be like asking me if I want to go for a walk. Yeah, sure, I guess so. Um, so
I
yeah.
remember
Anyways,
when like
let's.
we were on the west side, she did that. Like eating cottage cheese. I remember she ate a lot of cottage cheese. I'm probably exaggerating it, but when we lived on the west side in Kent, I remember her like when she lost weight and it was like I just remember her eating cottage cheese. I'm sure she ate other things, but as a kid, I just remember thinking mom's eating a lot of cottage cheese these days.
I
So
love cottage cheese.
that's all I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
I
It's probably why I
I
like
ate.
it, is because she was like, if I'm eating it, you're eating it too.
Mhm. Yeah, I had to eat a lot of cottage cheese when I was pregnant with
Because the sugar, no
my
sugar in it.
firstborn because I was diabetic and I kind of burnt myself out on it. But I'm back to eating cottage cheese now. Okay. Anyways, now I'm going to share with you guys some diets that I did myself. Um, the first one is that I'm going to talk about is some intermittent fasting, where you only eat within a 6 to 8 hour window, and then you would fast for 16 to 18 hours. I would just eat dinner and then not eat again until lunchtime. I think I would try to do like an 18-hour fast, but typically I would be more closer to that 16-hour fast. Um, I know I and some people also get some GI upset from going long periods of time without eating, and then you eat again. If it's like kind of a high fat meal, especially, you would get some GI upset with it. Um, and then the draw to this intermittent fasting is there's some science claims that fasting starts burning fat after all the sugar stores are used up. So waiting long periods of time to eat will tap into this like fat burning time. And the fasting apparently also triggers cellular repair and causes positive changes in hormones like the hormone insulin. And maybe there's some truth there, but if you only have 6 to 8 hours where you allow yourself to eat, you're generally going to be eating less calories, right? It's hard to know, kind of what to believe is truth.
Or not. I mean, you're like, oh, I can only eat right now.
Yeah, exactly.
People have run into that with
Where
this
they like
fasting.
overconsume because they're like just shoveling it
Yeah, they're
in.
like, oh my gosh, I can only eat until 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so your food choices are going to play into that. But I think a lot of people who are doing that intermittent fasting, you know, aren't grabbing for cakes or sweet treats or high fat, you know, because, but yeah, you can still eat your calories within that time frame. You know, and different things, you know, work for different people depending on, you know, what particular diet is sustainable for the said individual, right? So, you know, obviously I'm not an expert and I'm not recommending anything, but I do think that, you know, a varied or a diet that has a lot of variety, a lot of color is important. You know, you got to have different foods, not constantly sticking with the same food so you get different nutrition, right? But that's my personal opinion, right? So I also did the diet fed isogenics, which is also an MLM. This is where I would say that things got scary for me and got really serious. I was very, um, I really wanted to kind of get back to that weight I was prior to having a baby, which was unattainable for me. And so I got introduced to this isogenics because one of my coworkers was selling it. And I don't know if either of you know anything about it, but it's basically these pills and then protein shakes that you do. And you, well, I can't remember exactly, but at some point you fast for literally 2 days where you only eat half an apple and you can sip on bone broth, but you consume nothing else. And you're supposed to also consume these pills while fasting. And I remember them upsetting my stomach really bad. And I actually was like driving to work one day and Coraline was a little baby at the time. She was in the car with me and I was like going to get sick and I had to like pull over and throw up on the side of the road because they were upsetting my stomach so bad because I hadn't ate in a day. I did get through that 2 day fast and I remember experiencing like headaches. I was really shaky and obviously not feeling well. And I remember thinking like that was an accomplishment. Like, holy cow, I didn't eat for 2 days. Like, way to go. Good job, Laura. Like looking back now, I'm thinking that's crazy, but I could see how this could turn into an eating disorder very quickly for some people. You were supposed to fast and then you know, then you could eat. And then they also had like a 3 day where you drink a shake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they would even claim that people who had, you know, like eating disorders, they would come out of the eating disorder and start eating regularly by using isogenics because of those 3 shakes, because they were packed with nutrients and everything you needed, was isogenics claim, which no, there's no way somebody with an eating
I'm
disorder
thinking
could
it
do isogenics
perpetuates
and get
it.
better. Absolutely. Of course, they didn't recommend the 2 day fasting for people who were, you know, coming out of an eating disorder, but
Right.
having 3 shakes a day is not ideal in trying to gain weight. Um, yeah, so I would find that after those 2 days, I would then gorge, right? Because I was starving.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, very unhealthy. Um, I don't recommend isogenics. I don't support starving yourself. That's bad news bears.
No.
I did come out of that and kind of trend towards, you know, making good choices, eating 3 meals a day, you know, healthy variety. You know, I'm much better now, but I look back in those times and they're very dark times. And in all fairness, like we live in this society where skinny is beautiful and people are pushed to extreme limits to get to that ideal body shape. And even if it means, you know, hurting your inside body, right? So it's unfortunate. But on the other side, like I get why people would want to lose body fat as well if it's, you know, unhealthy for you. Just because your body is skinny doesn't mean that your body is healthy either. There are
Right.
skinny people who have a lot of visceral fat that's damaging to the heart and unhealthy too. So this is why it's important that you talk to your healthcare provider and discuss the options with them, because they know you as an individual, and I can't say that enough.
Yeah, I
Um,
kept wanting
And I'm
to
just
I
tired
kept
of
wanting
it.
to say this real quick, Laura, before I forget, because I kept wanting to say this to people like, "Hey, we're doing this podcast because we're dumb and we want to learn things. So if we get things wrong, don't take what we say as gospel. We're just like doing some research and sharing what we learned because we're dumb and we
Mm-hmm.
want to be less dumb." So just want to put that out there.
Right. Yeah, I've learned so much what doing this and like learning things about you too, like I know, I didn't know
each
Laura
other.
went through that. I know that I've got lots of stories because the 90s messed us up, man. 90s and early
Yeah.
2000s, like the
But it's
body
still
image
that
is
way.
just,
It's
I know, and
starting to
we're kind of
trend
going
back to
backwards. Like I
that
felt,
skinny body again.
yes, I hate it. I hate it so much. And I like
And
can't
I
tell you how many times like we've talked about everybody's body is different. And just to bring up a story, I had somebody I worked with that got, she said I worked out all the time, but which I think really made sense. I don't know. I haven't done the research, so again, don't come at me. Is that her doctor told her that, hey, everybody's different. And our bodies from, thousands of years of going through starvation and, famine. And so everybody's body is different and we adapt to our environment. So her body from her genetics puts on weight because for thousands of years, maybe her genetic line was through starvation and it's lived this long because they were able to keep fat on. And so now that we don't have to do that, this evolution kind of has to go back to now we have abundance, which we didn't before. So no matter what you do, you're always going to be thicker because that's your
Yeah.
genetic makeup. And so that's
Mhm,
what we need to talk about is like, how are we genetically? Of course, be healthy, but everybody's body is going to be different, right?
mhm.
And as
Yeah.
long as you're like, we've seen this, Laura, in doing triathlons, like everybody's body's different. And these people, like skinny people and bigger people, older, younger, it don't matter. They're all doing it and they're doing it great and they're healthy and they're amazing and they're not all the same
Mhm,
size. Like let me tell you, people that have the misconception that all athletes are the exact same size is it's wrong.
mhm.
Anyways, that's my soapbox is that everybody
It's,
is beautiful. Just be healthy.
it's especially as we age, it becomes more and more, it becomes extremely difficult to lose weight once you're starting at about 40. It just gets worse. So I'm pushing
Mm-hmm.
50. And so we're 4 years between each of us. So Laura's, 8 years younger than me. And she's struggling, but honey, it only gets worse. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a losing battle. And you just have to accept that you are not going to be a little skinny mini at 50 years old. It ain't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If
Right.
you can't eat, it can happen, but you're not ever going to eat. You're never going to eat. And that's just
Right.
not
There's this
realistic. Like, we're
misconception
surrounded by
like you get
food.
older. Right. And that we get lazy or something. Like, oh, once women get older, like women that have gained weight from their 20s to 40s or 50s, like there's this misconception that all of a sudden we became lazy and just ate whatever we want. I'm doing quite the opposite. I've worked out more since I was 40 than I ever did in my 20s and 30s, except when I was bodybuilding, but that's
Mhm,
another story. But yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah,
I'm working out all the
I was
time.
lazy. I was lazy in my 30s. Like, I started getting active like in my 40s and eating
Mhm.
better in my 40s. Like, I was so thin for so much of my life. I had a very high metabolism. Like, I had to eat or I'd get shaky and I was just always hungry all the time. So, thanks a lot, body. I had this high metabolism and now it just died. It's like, oh, you're 40 now. You don't need this anymore. Sorry. Thanks a lot.
Mhm.
So, it was a
Yeah, you've
adjustment for
always
me in
been
my
thin thin thin.
brain. Well, not though. Not now, though. I mean, I was, but so yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I had to like just, I mean, be healthy, but I'm not going to be 105 pounds ever again. It's just not going to happen. So deal with it. Find out what you're okay with, exercise and eat healthy. But if you're not 125 pounds, oh well. I mean, yeah,
Hmm.
you can do what you can, but you ain't going to get there.
Hmm.
If you're like me, it's just impossible. Like I did the GLP-1, you didn't bring this up, but
Yeah, I
everybody's doing
hadn't
the
got there yet.
GLP-1, but we assume it's healthier, but the problem is it doesn't last. So you might
Mm-mm.
take some of those healthier habits with you, but so I'm still down 15. It's been like a year, almost a year since I've done it, and I'm still down 15 pounds from it, but I was down like 25, or 30 and came back about halfway. Can't stay on it forever. I don't think that's healthy. It's not good for our digestive system. Like people it's really messed them up for that. At least we know that there are side effects to that. So
Yeah, there's
that's not a
always side
perfect,
effects.
yeah, nothing's going to be perfect. No medication that is developed in a lab is going to not have side effects. That's just unrealistic,
Yeah,
unless we come up with some real, that this is how our biology works and this process, whatever it is what you do to, keep the fat off. Until we find out, we're still like shot in the dark about how our bodies even work, especially as we age. Like you can study this 20-year-old all you want and how their metabolism works and blah, 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 but that doesn't even apply to me.
yeah,
So
Well,
yeah,
because we're women,
yeah.
that
I
our
makes
did.
no
metabolism
sense.
doesn't matter.
I
That's
did
how I feel.
kind of talk about like other diets and GLP-1, but we don't have to get into that. But I did kind of talk about how like the rise of GLP-1 and their popularity, and at first there was a supply problem, and now there no longer is. And, there was controversy there for people using it for weight loss when people who needed it for diabetes weren't getting it. And I get that. Now that there's not a supply problem, was watching a YouTuber that went to South Korea, and they have this, their culture is very much like, got to be skinny. And he is like a big, giant bodybuilder, big, massive guy. I'm sure he probably has like less than 10% body fat on him. He went to South Korea and went into one of those, you know, little clinics that they have there, and they basically based it off his BMI, and he was able to obtain GLP-1. He didn't take it. He said he was just going to throw it away, but it's just handed out like candy. And that's where I find it to be dangerous. And
Yeah.
like some of the celebrities, I won't say specific names, but have gotten to a very low weight that, in my opinion, is a bad representation of a healthy body, especially for young girls. Because I grew up in the 90s and I saw what it did to women in the 90s, wanting to be that pencil thin. And that is unhealthy, and it is an inappropriate image to be portraying to young girls. And I think that could trigger a lot of young girls going into eating disorders. And I take that very serious, because I have two girls. Um, so, you know, GLP-1 is a very good thing, in my opinion, in helping people reduce body fat and helping diabetics, but it also has a bad side. And unfortunately, that's what humanity does. Take a good
Yeah.
thing and turn it into something bad,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's those 300-pound people out there that it's working for that they, maybe
Yeah.
they were able to lose 100 pounds on GLP-1, and
Yeah.
that's great. That's wonderful. Just something to remember, the sexiest women historically in America, I don't know about the other countries because we're the society that we're in. So that's what affects us the most is America, are not thin women. Marilyn Monroe was
Size
curvy,
14 or something, I think.
10 or 12. I don't
Oh, was
something
she?
like that. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe you're right, but not 0 or 2 or 4. Oh, what's her name? Off Modern Family,
Oh, yeah.
she's beautiful and curvy, and these are the sexiest women that Americans, women and men, look at them and they're like, oh my God, they're beautiful, sexy women. They're not skinny. They're
Mhm.
not big, but they're
What about all the
curvy
sculptures
and they're not.
and the
Mhm.
paintings? What are those
Right.
women? Those are all like very robust, beautiful women, like Michelangelo. Or
Right.
didn't he do the sculptures?
But on that
And
note, though, I
they're all
do want
thick,
to
nice women.
say that just because what because there are very thin women out there that are naturally very thin and are not
Right.
curvy and don't, have all those
Right.
woman curves that men are very, very attracted to. So
Right.
to say that, like, in general, this is what men are attracted to, I don't think is fair to say, because some men do really like pencil thin, skinny women, and some men
Yeah, but
do
not
like
most.
very overweight women, and some men do like, the
Yeah.
36, 24, 36, right? So
Right.
I guess the message I want to send out to the world is you don't have to love your body, but also you shouldn't hate it, because variety is what, society thrives on. There's going to be different body shapes. We can respect all different body shapes. And honestly, the big takeaway here is, who cares what men think? I don't, and you
Well,
shouldn't.
they're
That's the big
they're
takeaway.
less picky
Who
than
cares?
we are, I think. They don't
Truly,
care.
truly,
Yeah,
I
we
mean, I
don't
think
honestly,
care. It isn't
we are
about,
we don't.
our
it's
own
usually
worst
about
enemy.
us.
Truly,
Yeah.
I agree,
Yeah.
Rebecca. It's a competition of who can be the most beautiful among women,
Well,
because men
no,
really
I
are
didn't mean it like
competitors.
that. I didn't mean it like that. I meant we are our own harshest critic.
Mm,
Right.
Always, every day.
yeah,
We are like, oh
I
my God,
know.
I have this zit right on my nose. And
Stupid.
nobody's even noticing it,
Truly,
you know?
yeah,
Right there.
you're
See that
right.
bad boy? I put the pimple patch on, but it didn't work. It's still
I
working. And there's
know.
another one right here. We were just in Moab. I sweat so much. So much sweat. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, I
So
told you guys, go to the desert in the summer. That's brilliant.
Honestly, though, it kind of was,
we had a
That's
because
why
it
I was
good
wasn't,
like,
time.
because
I'm
there wasn't
busy because
a
I
lot of
don't
people
want to go
there.
to the desert.
It was hot, but there wasn't a lot of people there too,
Well, of course there wasn't.
which was nice, especially with our little girls, because those hikes are not safe. Like,
Scary.
there's like
Oh.
Yeah. So
drop to your
scary.
death drop offs getting to Delicate Arch. Like,
Oh no.
I
Did you like
had a
put
little
ropes
tiny
around everybody in a chain?
no, no.
We should have.
And I had a little tiny mini panic attack when we were hiking on the whale. Thank you, Heather. She was like, "Okay, everybody, get away from Laura. Give her a minute to calm down." It was stressful. So I'm very grateful that there wasn't a lot of people there. I would trade that for the heat any day, for the safety of the kids, because
Yeah.
it's bad.
That's scary.
It's scary. They're not easy hikes. They're
Lots of
quick
drop
and easy,
offs,
but
especially a
dangerous, I should
delicate
say.
arch. Ooh, delicate arch is
I've had
like
some jump
super scary
scare
because people walk
nightmares.
out to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is beautiful, and I recommend
And
going.
our kids have like zero self preservation at all.
Oh, jeez.
None.
Zero.
Yeah. I
Klutzy
know.
and
And then
zero self
Coraline, she's just
preservation.
like
Terrible combo.
super klutzy, and always
Yeah.
tripping. And Heather's just like, I can't watch this girl walk anymore.
Oh my gosh.
She has to just get away from me. It's like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
Coraline,
no.
get away from Heather. You're going to give her a heart attack. It's always a
Yeah,
near
that
miss.
would have been
And
me
I'm like,
too.
don't step on the loose rock. What does
Steps
Coraline
on the
do?
loose rock
Steps on the loose rock. I'm like,
Gosh.
and doesn't even think twice about it.
why must you try to kill yourself at every step?
No.
Oh,
Well,
anyways,
good job,
we
Laura.
survived.
It was really interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't know most of that stuff, so
Yeah, there's a
learned
lot I
learned
learned
something.
there
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So that's all we have for today. I would also like to turn you guys to some of our previous episodes. I think if you liked this episode, you would really like contraception throughout history or hamburgers from a petri dish. So go check those out if you haven't watched them. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Stay tuned for more episodes in the future. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.